Hey, welcome back, treasure hunters. So, finally, the thrift stores, at least around me, are starting to get back to regular hours. Most of them are open, and the shelves are actually pretty full, and the turnover, and they keep putting new things out just because, during the lockdown or quarantine or whatever, they were still accepting donations, and obviously no one was buying any items. So I'm sure they have a pretty good inventory. So see a lot of different items every time you go. So that's good for anyone looking for some treasures. I did find a handful of things within, the last 4 days or so that I wanted to share with you. Also, I recently got an auction item that I wanted to review quick. I actually did an unboxing video, but my battery ran out of my shotgun mic, so if you can hear anything, that must have happened like halfway through. So I'm not going to be unboxing it, but I will show you what I purchased. And lastly, I am starting to get into selling vintage clothing, specifically t-shirts. So continue watching and I'll tell you why I chose t-shirts and some of the big profit margins that you can potentially make from different types of vintage tees. Okay, so the first item that I found this I think yesterday or the day before, is this vintage porcelain vase. I wasn't sure who made this when I first got it. It was actually covered in kind of like a grimy, just dirt. It was just dusty and really looked, it definitely looked old, but it definitely needs some cleaning up. What caught my eye about this is these flowers on here are really well made, and surprisingly, 9 times out of 10 when I see some sort of porcelain with decorations like this added to it on the outside, there are petals broken off or leaves chipped off, and you can tell it's, either got damaged from, just being obviously old, or it was damaged while it was donated, because they kind of just throw everything into bins and stuff. So I cleaned this up a lot, so it looks a lot better than it did. When I first checked out the bottom, all I could see, there's some numbers written down here. But when I cleaned it up and took the price tag off, it's actually a Cordy vase, which is China. I think it was made in the 40s. So I did get to research this a bit, and I found that this vase sells online for, I think probably the average price is around 80 or 90 bucks. I got this at a Goodwill for $3.29. So in the conditions it's in, given the market value, this is obviously a pretty good buy. I'll probably price it a little bit lower than that so I can sell it. But this was, a good start to getting back out at some of these thrift stores. The next item I found it along with the vase I just showed you. This is just a small bud vase, and it is made by Van Briggle. This isn't one of the really old Van Briggle pieces of pottery, I don't think anyway, but it does have, Van Briggle and the sign, and then Colorado Springs. I just checked this out. I wasn't really sure if, this was anything to grab, but, when I flipped it over, I immediately recognized Van Briggle's logo. I don't know how much I could sell this for. I haven't really even looked that up, but I got it because it was only $2.19. So yeah, that's just a no-brainer. I mean, even if I sold it for 20 bucks, super easy to ship and basically no investment. So that's always a good find there. Next thing I found, and I actually, the first couple times I went back to the Goodwill that is closest to me, I saw this and I passed it over a couple different trips, because there's just, they have a lot of the metalware type stuff in, one section. Most of the stuff that I check out there is either made in India or China, and it's just not really worth anything. I don't know, for whatever reason, I kind of looked at these handles and, the top of this, and, I figured I'd check out the bottom, expecting to see one of those Made in India stickers, but there is a imprinted, and I'll never be able to show you this because it's really hard to see even as close as I am, but there is a impressed R on the bottom, and I don't even know what that means. I haven't had a chance to research it, but it was only $4.39, and I just said, whatever, I'll just buy it and see, what I can find out. The only thing with this, there's a dent here on the bottom rim, but I can probably press that out. So it's well made, and you can tell too, like, this is all hand hammered. Because if it was done by a machine, these would be uniform throughout, but you can tell this is, they're kind of in lines, but it's a little more random. They're not exactly spaced out. So, yeah, I figured why not grab it? And these are always easy to ship too, because obviously, unlike, glass or porcelain, this isn't going to break, even if UPS tosses it around. So we'll see about that. The next thing I found here is, this is a ancient Greek style bronze statue / sculpture, whatever you want to call it. This is of the goddess Athena, and she's holding Nike. This caught my eye, one, because it really does look super old. It's got this is called bronze disease. When it's due to age and moisture and all this other stuff, but there's like this green kind of powdery stuff stuck all over it. And, her spear is very rusted. So I don't know if they had this like left outside, just as a decoration, or these are commonly reproduced, still in bronze, but they are a lot more detailed. Like, this looks pretty worn down, especially like any of the details at the top of this thing on her helmet. There's really just, a couple lines here and there. Some of the more modern reproductions, the detailing, especially like in the face or on the braids in the back, they're much more clear. And this looks pretty worn away. I did see too the modern reproductions on the bottom. This is like sawed off, so it's completely flat. And this one is not. And I'm not sure if that's due to corrosion or anything else, but that is one difference I noticed. And also, with any more modern reproductions, if you ever see like drill marks, that's a good indicator that it's more modern. And the one online that I saw in her hand, there was just like a drilled hole that the spear stuck through. But on this one, it's not the case. Like, this is actually part of, her hand, where it's not just stuck through a hole. So I don't know. I'll have to do some more research on this, maybe clean it up a bit and try to get a second opinion on what the age might be. But I got this for a couple dollars. So either way, even the reproduction, the more modern reproductions are selling on Etsy from anywhere from like $65 to $75 to $100. So I could definitely probably get like at least $50 for this, but if it's a lot older, then obviously more. So we'll see about that one. The next thing I found at the Goodwill by my house is these. I didn't know what these were at first. I just knew, they looked old, and I kind of thought it was something to do with horses. And apparently these are, I can't remember if it was in Spanish, some kind of stirrup. These are all handmade. You can see like there's wood in the, at least I think it's wood. It's either wood or compressed leather in the center here. And then all of the outside of this leather piece is all hand nailed. You can tell because it's really not uniform. They're just kind of, they're in a pretty good line, but they're not perfect. And then This is like all hand woven, these leather pieces here at the base of the strap. And, you know, even the buckles are older style with, you know, they're rusted a bit. So I did try to do a bit of research on this, and I think these might be South American or possibly Mexican, but I haven't found too much more. Again, they were like $5.50 a piece. So I just took a shot. A lot of times, like, horse stuff sells pretty well because people are very passionate if they're into horses. So I don't know. I know my feet wouldn't fit in these holes, but I mean, they would make a good, you know, good thing to hang on the wall or something. So I don't think I'll have a problem selling the pair. I just need to figure out more about them. The next thing I found here is this old etching, and this is of, looks like a town or village or whatever, and then there's a church with the steeple sticking up. This is signed by Samuel Chamberlain, and luckily, I mean, he has a readable signature, which a lot of artists don't for some reason. But I did a quick Google search when I saw this. His work came up on numerous sites and was selling anywhere from, you know, a couple $100 to like $450 or something. This isn't titled or anything, but it does look like an original etching. It's not a print, and you can tell too because you can see where it was impressed around here. Plus the frame's pretty old. I think he did his work a lot. Like, I saw dates anywhere from, like, you know, early 20th century to, you know, the 1930s or something. So this was a cool find. I got it for $4.99. You know, I don't know exactly what I'll list it for, but I'll definitely, you know, make a good profit off of this one. So the next thing I found is this kind of cartoony drawing of downtown Cleveland. This is done by Roger Coast, and it's dated 1981. I was able to, because I recognize the signature because I have some other things that I found by him. I did a quick search for this, and I actually found it on an auction site, but they wouldn't let me see how much it sold for because I wasn't a premium subscriber. So either way, I got this for $5.99. I don't know how much I could sell it for, if I'm even going to sell it. Even if, you know, only sold at auction for like $20 or $30, I'll probably end up keeping it and just hanging it up on the wall because it's kind of cool. You know, I like finding artwork by more local or Ohio artists and stuff. So a few days ago, I found this big double-handed vase. It's got hand-painted flowers. I don't really know what kind of flowers those are, but it's on both sides. There's a lot of crazing throughout, but, you know, this is fairly old. On the bottom, it's marked California Company, and I tried to search for that, but I kept coming up with California Pottery, which is, you know, an older type of art pottery. So I couldn't really ID California Company that was on the bottom here, but either way, this was $6.99. I have sold things that are very similar looking to this. They were pictures though. These things tend to sell. They don't sell like super fast, but they do sell because people are always looking for larger vases like this that are older. So I was happy to find this. I think I could at least get probably $75 to $100 for it. So I also, here's another thing I found. This is obviously small etching, but this is done by Taruna. And I actually found a couple other pieces of his work before. I found like an original watercolor and ink painting / drawing, and also like a pen drawing. But he does a lot of like landscape stuff. So here on the back here, this is just his biography, but I mean, this is older. This piece is dated 88, but he actually went to Bowling Green, studied at, in Cleveland, and now he actually moved to Cape Cod at some point, and he does all kinds of artwork, of that area, whether it's like buildings or coastal stuff. His work now sells for a good amount of money, his newer stuff. I haven't really found a lot of his older stuff for sale, so it's hard to say. But I did find another smaller etching that was, I think it sold at auction for just over $100. This is actually of Fairport Harbor, and I've actually been to this lighthouse. So it's kind of cool to see, this done so well. It's very, very detailed, especially for a smaller piece. But I got it for $2.19. And I don't even know if I'm going to sell this or not. Good find. And a lot of times, like art, when I first started, I would concentrate on, the regular, larger, medium sized frames and look at all that. And I would kind of just skip over the smaller frames. So when I first started going to thrift stores and stuff, and I was looking through art, I would always concentrate on looking at the large to medium size frames and looking for art that way, and then skipping over the smaller stuff. I've actually found quite a few pieces that were valuable in those smaller frames, like 12 inches or under. I found drawings, paintings, and a lot of times people just had those and then they put them in a frame. Like, at least in my experience, I found a couple different pieces that were just in regular picture frames, but they were actually, nice pieces of art. And the people probably just had them and didn't want to get them professionally framed or didn't know what they had, but they wanted to keep them somewhat safe, not just, so they wouldn't get torn or, stained or whatever. It is worthwhile to kind of glance over the smaller stuff and try to look for any identification on the back, or, look for the older frames that, you can tell they might have like really old paper on the back, or old nails holding the glass and the art or whatever in, or anything like that. So it's just a, quick tip. Don't leave out, if you're looking through art and stuff, don't leave out, a bunch of frames, or don't look through the smaller things just because there could be something valuable hidden in there. So like I said before, I did my unboxing, and for my auction item, lo and behold, when I was going through my footage, the sound cut out somewhere in the middle of what I was taping, and I had no idea that my mic lost its battery. Anyway, I'm going to show you, what I got at auction, minus the opening of the box and taking out, or my first impression, I guess. Not really a big deal, but... So this is what I got. I got this through Everything But the House. This is dated 1903, and it's by Jerome Elwell. Obviously, it looks old, even on the back. And I didn't even get to see the back like during the auction, but these are like old nails. They're the kind that, are square at the top and square all the way down, like a roofing nail would be today or something. But yeah, these are very old. And something else cool that I saw when I first flipped this over is, you can see this paper is so old it just kind of peels off. But there's actually writing on the back here, and I can't really tell obviously what it says, but I'll have to look into that, and hopefully it's in English because I can't read any other languages. But you can see how just the way that this is prepared in here with this, it's got like wood slats across the back. I mean, the painting isn't in perfect condition. There's a tiny hole here, but it's in this darker brown, so it's kind of hard to see from a distance. You'd have to get up pretty close to actually see it. And there's a couple spots here and there. But Elwell's work, when I was looking, at comparisons, I mean, some of his work sold for quite a bit of money, more than what I paid, which I think I won it at, 65 or 75 bucks. So I'll have to see what I can get from this. I know at the very least, I should be able to get like $100 for it. Probably a bit more than that, I would think. So it's kind of a cool picture of a clock tower. And then I like how there's just that one splash of color to kind of highlight the two figures down there. But that was my auction buy, but no unboxing. The last part of the video, I wanted to just quickly show you, I did find one t-shirt on my first trip out looking for t-shirts actually. This was pretty cool, I thought. So this is, it says Scratch Cleveland. And at least from my initial research, I found that, anything related to music, like vintage t-shirts, whether they're vintage band, like tour shirts, depending on what year and what band it is. I mean, those can sell for quite a bit of money. But this was, I did a bunch of searches for, Scratch Cleveland and blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't find any shirt like this. It's cool because it's got this, record and then the skyline there down at the bottom. So when I was kind of learning how to tell how old a t-shirt was, or, how to potentially value one, is the tag. And there are a lot of sites that have, all different types of tags from, the 80s and the 90s or whatever. But this is a Jersey's tag from the 90s. So, this is fairly old, and there is some lingo that I found that goes along with vintage t-shirt selling or clothes. And one is paper thin, and that's when, I don't know if you can see through this, but it's very, very worn. There are a couple holes. There's one on the back, but I got this for 49 cents. And I don't really know how much I could get for it, but it seems like with vintage t-shirts, anywhere from, like $25 to $35 is kind of an average, at least for the first couple of times I was looking through eBay and stuff, or there are websites that specialize just in selling vintage clothes or tees. So I don't know what I'm going to list this for, seeing that I can't find a comparison. I might just throw it up for an auction or something. I mean, if it doesn't sell, I'll just keep it weird anyway, because it'll fit me. And there are some other things too and I've only researched this for a bit, so I am by far not an expert at this. But other ways you can tell if something like a t-shirt's old is the stitching around the collar and around the sleeves. This is like the normal double stitch where both pieces of, the collar and the fabric underneath are kind of rolled under, and there's two stitches. Single stitch is obviously when there's just one stitch, they're kind of just put together and stitched across. And a lot of vintage t-shirts, at least, would use that single stitch. Some companies, though, I can't remember which one it was, but there was one company that still uses that single stitch even today. Other than that, I mean, I'm going to continue to kind of look at more like the types of t-shirts, not the brands, but the style of shirt, or, the graphics or screen printing, or, the things that people are actually looking for that you could make some good money off of. At least my first impression, like old sports tees sell for a decent amount of money, and definitely old music related stuff. So tour shirts, band shirts, and that sort of thing. So that's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you watching, and please subscribe if you haven't done that yet, because I'm still running my subscriber giveaway. So I will pick a random 3 people out of my first 100 subscribers once I hit that number, and I will ship out a prize to each one of those winners. So far, I did have a Weller vase, but I sold that. But there's still the Fulper cabinet vase and the Murano glass Tutti Frutti candy dish. And then I'll choose one more thing that'll be, a good piece. So you can either keep them for yourself or you can sell them yourself and kind of get started that way. Stay tuned for that once I do hit 100. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys can get out there and find some good treasures, especially this summer when people are trying to, do their late spring cleaning now that quarantine's over. So I imagine there'll be a lot of good things to go through, whether it's at thrift stores or garage sales or flea markets. So good luck out there, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.